Okay, so on this handout at the top, I left space anytime you want to go ahead and review complementary, supplementary, adjacent, and congruent angles, especially when you're studying for the test to kind of just quiz yourself and make sure you know the vocabulary and some examples, okay? So those are the ones I described in the previous video. So we're going to continue pairs of angles. Remember, pairs means they have to come in sets of 2. Okay, keep your highlighters at this point. Next, we have 2 specific, very special types of angles. They're called a linear pair and vertical angles. Linear sounds like line, and so what you need to remember is that these 2 angles are going to make a straight line. Now, they have 2 requirements. The first requirement is they have to be adjacent, which remember, adjacent means next to each other. They have to share that ray. So they're 2 adjacent angles they are a linear pair when their non-common sides are opposite rays. The angles in a linear pair are supplementary angles. Remember that S, I told you to think of an 8 for 180. So they have to be adjacent, they have to be next to each other, and they have to add up to 180 degrees. Hence, since they're side by side and they add up to 180, well, when we classified angles 2 days ago, we talked about a straight angle. So they form a straight angle. So this is what it would look like. So in this case, I would have angle ABC. Angle ABC would this be that angle here. And then in this case, I would have angle DBC. So with your highlighters, you can see this is angle ABC. It's right next to DBC. They're adjacent because they share, remember, this ray, BC, they're connected, and they make a straight angle. They add up to 180 degrees, so that's called a linear pair. So this is a linear pair. ABC and angle DBC. Okay, so they're adjacent and supplementary. Next, we have vertical angles. Simple but often forgotten about. 2 angles are vertical angles when their sides form 2 pairs of opposite rays. So I want you to think of an X like that. And then I want you to know that the line always has to be straight. So let's say I have that line and this line here. Those 2 lines have to always be straight, and then you form your vertical angles. So if this was angle 1, 2, 3, 4, you would say, for example, angle 1 is vertical to angle 3. I'm using circles, and I'm going to use triangles. Angle 2 is vertical to angle 4, so they're across from each other. So angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical to each other. Angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical to each other. What this doesn't look like, and often kids always confuse these, it's, let's say you have this straight line here, but then you have this line and it does that. If you look at this line here, this line is not straight. So the angles across from each other are not vertical. 1 and 2, in this case, would not be vertical because that line, that red line that I drew, is not vertical. Is not straight, I'm sorry. Your lines have to be straight. Then the angles that are across from each other are vertical angles. Okay? So now let's practice our vocabulary a little bit. It says, exercises 1 and 2 use the figure. So we have this figure to the right. Name the pairs of, so either pair or pairs of adjacent complementary angles. We have 2 new vocabulary words. Adjacent means next to. Complementary, when somebody gives you a compliment, you feel right about yourself, 90 degrees, right? So they have to add up to 90. So they have to be next to each other, and they have to add up to 90 degrees. So if you spot this 75 degrees and this 15 degrees, both of those, right, 75 plus 15 is 90. So I'm going to highlight my angles to help me. Angle TOP, right? And then you see angle SOT. It's important that we know how to name angles. So angle TOP and angle SOT. They add up to 90 and they're right next to each other. Okay? Next one says, name the pairs of non-adjacent. That means not next to. They cannot be connected. That are supplementary. So think about that 8, right? 180. So they have to add up to 180 and they cannot be next to each other. So if we look at it, we see a 105 over here, right? Well, 105 plus 75 is 180. So I'm going to go ahead and say I have angle LJM and angle TOP again. Angle LJM and angle TOP. Okay, I could have also named it MJL if I wanted to. Remember, we practiced naming. The only thing I wouldn't want to name or use to name is the middle this time. I cannot name it J because we have 3 angles happening, right? We have 1, 2, 3 angles. So we could have not have used that, okay? So that is practicing naming. I'm sorry, that is practicing the vocabulary with a little bit of math. Now I want to practice this before I do some of your homework problems. So on this worksheet, it says in problems 1 through 6, use this figure to the right. First thing they want is they want an angle complementary to angle 3. That means that they have to add up to 90 degrees. So identify angle 3. Angle 3 is here. Now, if you pay attention, there's this box. Remember, the box means 90 degrees. Complementary. So the one that would add up to 90 degrees with that one, it would be this angle here. So I can name it one of 2 ways, CFD or DFC. So I'm going to say angle CFD. So complementary has to add up to 90 degrees. Name 2 acute, that means less than 90 degrees, vertical angles. Remember, your line has to be straight. So highlight your lines. I see this straight line and I see this other straight line. If you pay attention, this guy is not really a straight line because it cuts there in half. So that's not part of it. So you need 2 angles that are less than 90 degrees and they're across from each other. Well, there's nothing across from 3, right? Because there's no line. But the yellow and green form this angle and yellow and green from this angle. And they're acute, right? They're visibly less than 90 degrees. So you will say angle 1 and angle CFD. So it's this angle and that angle. Name a linear pair. Linear pair, remember, they have to make a line. They have to be adjacent, which means they have to be next to each other. And they have to add up to 180. And they form a line, 180 degrees. So we have several to choose from, right? I can say, for example, let me erase the writing that I had on here. Let me pick this green. I can say this angle here makes a line with this angle here. What line do they make? With this one, right? So I can say angle 1 or angle EFA and angle CFA. Could you have given me a different one? Sure. I have this straight line here as well. So I could have also said this angle here and this angle here. So I would have said angle AFE and angle DFE. Okay, name two adjacent angles. Adjacent means they just have to be next to each other. So I can keep it simple, right? Angle 2 and angle 3. I could have said angle 1 and angle 2. Name an angle supplementary. That means it has to add up to 180 degrees to EFD. Well, let's identify where EFD is first. Let me highlight it, EFD. Okay, it has to add up to 180 degrees. Well, I know if they make a line, they're gonna add up to 180. So if I focus on this line, this can be my guy. Or if I focus on this line, angle 1 could be my guy, right? So I could say angle 1 or angle CFD. And then I'm gonna leave this for later, that notation, and then this practice. Once we get deeper into that, we're gonna come back into these word problems. Now I'm gonna do a quick video to help you with your